We'll get this thing going. Well, welcome in. Welcome to Small Talks Mag. Here, Small Talks, our bag is trying to get to know the name behind the artist. We also try to get a better look at what we have coming up and get an inside look at some of the inner workings of the new project. So without further ado, thank you so much for coming on the show, Dirtsa. We'll get this thing started.
Thank you for having me, Rob, and Small Talks.
All right, let's talk about the new project. We'll jump right in. We'll talk about the new project, Truly Didi. Run us through some of the process of putting together this new project. What changed in your process between this and your previous project, Alethea's Calling?
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask you to
I'm
repeat
so
that
sorry.
again for me.
Is this thing working?
Yes, I
May
think
or
so, but
may
the
not.
sound on my end is just not the best. So I'm very sorry for that. I'm not well equipped.
Not at all. I'm using a $5 microphone we got at the general store. So
I
hey,
have
we
the
are.
same one.
It's the only one I use. It's the best thing ever. When it works, it is at least. I'll just go ahead and repeat the question. So let's talk about the new project, Truly Didi. Run us through the new process that you used to put this album together. What changed between this and Alethea's Calling? Is there any topics that came up, and how did you put this whole thing together?
Okay, honestly, a lot of things changed, I'd say, in the way I did this one. I worked on this one. On this one, I feel like I wanted to take more personal take on it, on the like putting tracks out, but like being involved from top to finish in a way. I already was on Aditya's Calling, but it was more, since it was my really my debut EP, there were a lot of things that I didn't know. I had like I feel like Aditya's Calling was my teaching to come up to this one, because I got to learn a lot of things from my peers, simply in the musical industry. Particularly, I was shown things on just how, for example, just to record myself alone. And it's some things that I got to test onto this sophomore EP. And I'm really excited for everyone to hear it and see what I did with it, because this one has a little bit more of a, I'd say, a DIY kind of aspect to it, where like I was spending just time in my very DIY home studio upstairs, working on those tracks, and like recording myself, and all the process on this, even like to go to the visuals, the way we did things. I closely work with my sister in everything music, and so I work with her closely to, for example, just the cover of the EP. We took it in our parents' basement, some things like that, with just an iPhone. Like all music videos on this project, we shot them with an iPhone. It was really a first for me, just like working with things that we just like we didn't have to buy anything more, than what we had. And so the challenge was to do it all with with things we possess, such as phones. And like it was just really entertaining for me, challenging also, to just be able to put so much more of myself into a project, I'd say. And yeah, the process of it was like coming together with this project in actually this living room, which is fun. Like it's all just like I create in this space, so to me it always feels a bit like awkward to share things that comes out from it, but at the same time I find it so cool to just be able to develop all that from either like my living room or the little like home studio we have upstairs, like that we are trying to come up with. But it's like it's just those things, honestly. The way it was working on this one felt way much more different than the first one.
Amazing. I think that's what draws a lot of people to your music as well, is that everything feels it's very genuine. It's always been you. There's never been this facade or mask or anything going to try to convince people of some other person other than Dirtsa is here and Dirtsa has this message to put together, which actually leads me into my next question. Our people over at Notorious Noise said that about this new project, that it showcases your understanding that change starts when we dismantle our own fears and insecurities. Now, self-discovery and personal growth is a very important topic and very important conversation in our social commentary today. How has your experience with such things helped shape the narrative of Truly Didi? And if I could read my own handwriting, I'd finish the rest of the sentence. How does that help shape Truly Didi? And did you always have this theme in mind for the project?
Um, I feel like for me, like that reflection was a whole part of Truly Didi. I had fun with this project particularly because I was able to make something more than like a next chapter after releasing my first project. I wanted I wanted it to be a beginning of something else too, and of that more um like inner self-focused dive into those fears and those areas. For me, it was an important subject to have because like when I take my case simply, like I'd say I'm a novel thinker. um and I feel like if sometimes I get to feel like this and have fears and things, I should just share it with the people listening to my music and see if anyone can resonate to this. um if they cannot, it's okay, but at least like, I would have helped myself into crafting this project that would show another, I'd say, um another like face of me in a bit, and just share more of my state of mind, what I struggle with. And just for myself, it was just really relieving um, to do that actually, and to work with this project this way. Um, and for me, like, though I get those fears, I fear it's always important to just not get yourself consumed by it. So I always try to put in a message of resilience in my songs and just let it be known to whoever is listening that after this, like, you get to move on and like keep having the opportunity at least to go further. um it's always good to take a moment to analyze your feelings, and I think we should get more acute to that. It's something we should work on more, and I'm just trying to take part into that work also, I guess, of bringing people together, um so they can always like move forward you know
Absolutely. And it's actually funny you bring that up. It leads right into our next section of this. So I want to talk about what's the word, about platform and the use of the platform. You quote I also got from Notorious News this weekend is that you said you would always stand for truth, inclusivity, and for greater humanity. And based off of what you said, in your opinion, why is it so important for artists to use their platforms for the greater good? And how do you think more artists can continue to push for better society and better understanding using the platform that they have?
well, I think it's something that anyone like can do. It's not much about, to me, it doesn't feel about much about how much you do. It's just like I feel like little by little anyone can put a step into the buildings of better things. And for artists especially, I feel we have a space that allow us to do such things and touch on social subjects. um, I think it's also a bit of like a kind of duty thing to do, but like as maybe more for artists, because we have the capacity to um touch so many people at the same time. And I feel like a good way to use that is in trying to bring people together and just strive for better together um, in trying to put out message that will be good for everyone, or help make certain situation known better, or things like that. Um, I think it's also a chance for us as artists to be able to use music or art to do such things. Like it's a place of freedom. Like art is really a place of freedom, and I feel like our, if I can call it a fight in that, um, first off, like we have to acknowledge it. It's not always easy to acknowledge it for so many reasons, but we have first to acknowledge it and then try to do something with that gift to say that we have, to just try and make better things come up for the the greater goods, if I can say that.
Absolutely. And on the subject of freedom, you actually have a little piece in the middle of, not in the middle, more towards the end of Control on the new album.
Exactly.
And I would love to actually ask you about that. And on the topic of freedom,
You.
you say, what is freedom to you? I would love to get you to elaborate a little bit more on that little section of Control. It's one of my favorite pieces. P cuts out. It's this really powerful, powerful moment. How did you put that together? One, and what brought that about on the middle of the track? And then I'd love to have you answer that question a little bit more for us. And what does freedom mean to you?
So that the making of Control, um, the making of Control was it's a song that I wrote about those areas into relationships where you don't really know if it's you who are doing things for because you want them or because you are pressured to do them. Mm-hmm. From various experiences that I had or people that I know that I've seen in some bad situation, on that level, I was inspired to write that songs because sometimes the people close to you won't have the necessarily I don't want to say strength because that will be to say someone is acting weak in a way, but like sometimes it is hard to talk about certain things, especially when you feel like no one is going to listen to you. So I wanted to write a song about those abuse that can take place into the relationship realm, whether that is romantic love, friendly love, whatever that is. Love exists in different shapes. So, but I wanted to talk about like not feeling like you can talk your mind when actually you have all right to, like, it's about you, it's and it's so many experiences that I've come up to where either me myself, I wasn't using my voice, or I was seeing some people get abused and having a hard time say anything because they didn't think anyone would have taken their defense. And so this song was inspired by that a lot. And for me, using that Nina Simone interview to talk about freedom was important because, and in that they mention love, especially. um, how would it be, how would you be able to describe to someone what it is being in love? And there's so many reflections that on that part and on that side of thing, on achieving freedom, that I wanted to point to, if I can say. And again, make it a message that you can come back from that. You can take your power back, and you can get to see and feel what freedom means. Because I feel like it's something also that can be very subjective, subjective, because we all feel different. We think different. And I feel like everyone is going to have their definition of what freedom is. Like everyone has their definition of love, of what love is. But the most important is to not to forget like the definition of who you are, into all this. And if I had to answer to the question what freedom means to me, I'd say that for me it's in the little things. Like it's in being able to it's in being able like to go outside, and just having that freedom is important. Like the freedom to go wherever you want is an important one. The freedom to create, the freedom to talk about how you feel. The freedom can be in anything. Like freedom can be achieved at so many levels. To me, it's in the little things and the simplest things sometimes that make someone free. And I feel like we've seen, particularly with COVID, how that definition of freedom, could be different from one person to another. But something we all felt was that that feeling of being like of our rights a bit being taken away. So it's all those reflections that I try to put onto this project, because I crafted it. I started writing some of the songs on truly didi, particularly control, when I was finishing up uni. um and during COVID, I really had the time to lay down my thoughts and work and start working on this body of work until today. So it's a lot of reflection like that I tried putting in onto this project.
Amazing. Well, and speaking of reflection, speaking of kind of greater who you are, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your influences. I read that you listened to a lot of Aaliyah when you were younger.
Yes, a
and
lot.
and that is amazing. We are big fans of Aaliyah in this household. And I also learned that after going forward from that, you started getting into a lot of Tupac, and before you inevitably got into a lot of Skepta as well. Do you think that those influences had a bigger hand into the making of this album? If not, if yes, why? If not, what have you been listening to recently, and what sounds have you put together this new project?
I feel like maybe in this project, not necessarily, but in general, I feel like having listened to though like songs from whatever it is, from Aliyah to Pac, old school hip hop, really did help craft my ear. Not just those songs, but all songs that I was surrounded by when I was growing up, that either my siblings or my parents were listening. It's all something part of my, I'd say, musical ear making, though I didn't had
Mhm.
any training on it. Um, but I'm so sorry. I locked my sister outside, so I'm just going to let her
Not
out
at all, not at all.
and we can process back. I'll be
No
right back.
problem.
I'm so
We'll put a
sorry.
pause on it, put a pin in it.
Hey, excuse me, stay there.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Okay.
We're back.
Yes. We are back. I'm so sorry. But we
Not at
were on
all, not at
influences,
all.
yes. I feel a lot of my ear was really crafted, honestly, by, and especially when I was a kid, by anything my siblings or my parents were listening to. But on this project, personally, like I've listened to a lot of I'd say Baby Kim lately, a lot of Santon Dave also,
Mhm.
um, Little Sims, of course, and so many influences like that, but also French music, quite a lot. So it's been a mix of those things, those influences, and I feel like every time I do mix the new with the old, kind of in a way, in terms of my influences, because I felt like that on at any level there is so much beauty to take and make something new every time. So um yes, it's just from, yes, it's like just with like taking my I'd say like my teachings growing up, music wise, and then all those new influences that I'm really fond of the music.
And it's funny you say that because I think people get really caught up in trying to build this playlist and this algorithm for themselves on these streaming apps. You know, my music taste is so different. But I think people forget that a lot of what we continue to listen to growing up, it comes from what we grew up listening to that our siblings show us or
Exactly.
that our parents show us. And it's all just this culmination
Yeah.
of everything we've heard and seen.
It's a continuity, yeah, and like it's just how I said, I feel it's about taking that and mixing it with new, because there's also a lot of interesting things that are being done music wise, nowadays, um not just with the artists that I mentioned. We are so many out there, doing music, and I feel like everyone has something new to bring to, but it's always with that thing of um mixing old and new. I feel like, there's it's not really secret to that for
You
me.
gotta repay respects to the guys who did it first. There's no reason it can't
Exactly.
be even
Yeah, yeah,
better.
yeah. Exactly,
As always,
exactly,
as always. Those are the biggest questions I had for you today. We're gonna end it off with some fun stuff. Of course, for starters, what are you listening to these days? What's on your playlist? What's been in heavy rotation these days?
Okay, so there's two part of this question that I can answer to, because like recently I've been also like working on music a lot, whether it
Mhm.
is like on Truly Didi or on what I have next. But I feel like in a way I have been listening a lot to myself.
I was to say you can
Um
say it. We won't judge.
I'm sorry. but any aside from that, I'm also, I'd say I'm also listening a lot to Kanye West, to, like I said earlier, I've been listening a lot to Baby Kim. I've been actually playing also the last Pusha T album. Um and like it's just influenced by that. Vince Staples also I've been listening to lately. Yeah, what else can I say? I'm trying to look for what I have on my playlist recently. Like I said, like I'm really fond of Sentence Dave's ear for music, and like um his musical work simply is something I have been studying too also. Um so yeah, so many things like that. Point and Kill from Little Sims is for sure into my playlist.
He's
You know,
unbelievably good.
what are
Unreal.
you listening to?
I've been listening to that. I've listened to Little Sims for the last 3 weeks. It's unbelievable.
I see.
Unbelievable.
No,
Since the
she's good.
Pusha T album came out, that's been on heavy rotation. We have all, as always, or if that is, that's even upside down. We're big Silk Sonic house over here, so we're big fans of them.
Yo,
Yeah, yeah, we're big Silk Sonic guys in these
yo,
house.
okay.
But we are, hey, we're not so different across the pond. We're just a little bit worse. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right. Well, what's next? What comes up next? We got the album out, we got the project out on the June 9th. We got shows coming up. Are you coming over to the States anytime soon? We'd love to have you here in Charlotte.
I'd love to, honestly. I'd love to. I'm looking forward to come up to the stage, to the state, and for any stage actually. But right now I'm pretty focused on releasing my sophomore EP, Truly Didi, that I've been working really hard on to. And then for me, I feel like it'll be just taking as much time as I need to keep creating also, and keep making, developing my sound, developing my ear. Um, for now, like the show season was a lot for last year, 2021, top of early 2022. Right
Mhm.
now I get to breathe a little. But yeah, no, there's the release of this project that I'm very, very excited for. And then for me, I think it's going to be just keep on developing my sound. Like it's something I really enjoy doing. I love spending time working on music, and whether it is like production side or writing side, it's just like I'm getting to love the whole of it, and it does ask me a lot of time, but it's something I love doing. So I'm just looking forward to be able to do that.
Well, amazing. Well, thank you so much. We are looking forward not only to the project coming out, Truly DD out June 9th, looking forward to everything else coming out soon. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for
for coming
having
on.
me.
This has been Small Talks with myself, Rob, and Dirtsa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rob. I had a really nice time. Thank you, Small Talks.